someone to assign tasks.
Sorry, that it's not important to have someone what?
Yes, to assign work to staff, to others.
We can assign work to whoever we want to do the work, of course. But we need people. Right now, it's just us. We're the four of us, and Sandra are the only people who are available and interested in working. And again,
can you? Ate, can you help me? You understand what I'm trying to say?
Ate or Lucy, do you understand?
Maybe I don't know. I did not get it clearly.
Me too. If you can repeat it.
Is this a question related to the proposal or?
No, yes. I'm asking a question and then also trying to make a proposal because I was trying to ask, are there not areas where where we have inefficiency in the work? Now I can hear you saying on Cobalt and Sonic and the others, the work in that area is inefficient. And I'm asking, is it not good that someone will be assigning tasks to workers?
So again, when we talk about COBOL, it's just the scheduling. It's literally just scheduling to work during the times that are needed. That's all it is. So it's like what someone does during that time is a completely separate question in terms of like what assigned tasks. So that makes sense, or assigned responsibilities. So Cobalt is just a schedule. So it's like right now we're going into Cobalt hour 1, right?
Yeah.
To pause. Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
But for budgeting and scheduling purposes, we would probably, budget and schedule based on our sessions, which would be, we're still right now in the Andromeda hour 2 session. So there's Andromeda hour 2 session, and then there's Cobalt hour 2 session. And the Cobalt hour 2 session hasn't started yet. And it'll probably start in like an hour as soon as we're done with this. So we need to get finished with this. We need to wrap up. We need to move it on. So right now we're getting slowed down in relationship to moving these proposals forward. So is that what your question's about? Is it about the scheduling, or is it about the assigned responsibilities and tasks like payroll and client work and internal operations, or what are you referring to?
Okay, maybe I was confusing it to assigning of roles, but now I can understand that is the timing.
Yeah, it's just the time. And again, the problem, of course, is that people are asleep. People are asleep in the middle of the night, and then people in the Americas are also don't like working during Cobalt either. Because I'm in California, and people in Brazil and South America, Central America, it's already nighttime by the time we get to Cobalt. Right? So it's very difficult to find people who are available for Cobalt. It's just it's the Pacific Ocean. It's a massive, huge gap in the middle of the planet with nobody there. Right? So basically California, it's on the Pacific Ocean. I'm like, 10-minute, 20-minute drive from the beach, from the ocean, the Pacific Ocean. In the past, we've hired people from Hawaii. They're like $25 an hour. So if that's what we need to do, that's what we need to do. But it's the timing. It's all about the timing of the work. And so by actually having this new model of because before we used to have separate budgets where we would have team budgets. We have the old world budget and the new world budget, but that costs thousands and thousands of dollars to create an entire budget. What's cool about this model is you can actually schedule just a single octave for work. You can schedule a single session or a single week for that particular time slot. And it's either we use the money or we don't. And it will just protect that money to make sure that it is saved for that particular time frame that we need workers for. So then if people aren't working during that time, we can have money to hire someone who's more expensive, because we have the money. Whereas in the old model, there's no money, right? Because all the money is already gone. And people don't want to work during cobalt, obviously.
Time to take a break. Please stop, write down whatever you were about to say, and take a break for 6 minutes.
So does that sort of make sense?
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Concerns, could reduce funds available to workers who can't come to Cobalt. So obviously that could be a concern.
Me, another concern is going to complicate the payroll system.
This can make payroll more complicated, which of course is only possible because of the automated payroll system. But in
Which
some
we
ways,
are not yet sure the result is 100% sure. We have to do it manually again.
yeah, but in some ways it'll make it simpler because people will be able to just track their hours during Andromeda.
If they don't,
instead of tracking their hours under general work or internal ops or client work or whatever, so instead of having to have 160 different work assignments, you can just have 8, just like either work during Hydra, Andromeda, Cobalt, or Old World, right? And so you get paid by just tracking those 8 groups, as a minimum, right? And obviously you get more equity and value by tracking your actual work, but it makes it simpler in that context. All right, so any other concerns? Okay, so let's go ahead and vote on our break. We're gonna take one more break. This is my last segment. We have one last proposal, and then we will be, or actually that's not a proposal, it's just options that we can vote on, and then we will be done with this. And this is all to prepare for our next recruitment round, and actually figure out how we're going to solve all these problems and get functional again. All right, 5-minute break. Actually, let's try to do 4-minute break. Come back here. I guess I can vote as well. Vote 7. What's the last one? 7 point.
When the break is going to start, please get focused on the session.
Right. So, is the tape back at all, or? No?
Pardon?
I'm back.
You are cool. So yeah, I mean, overall, I feel like, this is exactly the same as we do for the internal operations pools. And it's also similar to how the client work pools work. So I don't think it's going to be a problem to integrate this into the payroll. Obviously, it's going to start next month, probably, depending on, I mean, we're still in payroll setup, so we could start playing around with it. It depends on the next proposal, really, whether we want to do it immediately or whether we want to wait. But we'll probably start playing around with that to see how it goes. All right, so let's go on to the last thing. So the last one's just options right now. We do not have proposal, but there is a current policy. The current policy is that under the current policy, our budgets and work time value is calculated monthly. If someone is budgeted 15 hours per week, in the first week they don't work at all, the next 3 weeks, week 2 through 4, they can work 20 hours a week, so they can work 5 more hours per week than they're budgeted, and they can still get their full pay for this month, for 60 full hours. Okay, so that's our current policy. Is that basically you could not work. Another example would be like, all right, for the first 2 weeks, someone's budget for the first 2 weeks, they work 0 hours, and for the second 2 weeks, for a second 2 weeks, they would work 30 hours, and then they would get their full pay.
Time to pause. Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
But under our model, if you work 0 hours for month 1 and you work 200 hours in month 2, you don't get paid for the first month, right? Everything stops at the month and resets. Okay? So that would be option 1, to continue the current model that the time value is calculated monthly. But that is not the only option that we can do. We can have a lot of different options. We could change to do it every 2 weeks. We could change, that's option 2. Option 3 is that we could do it every week. Option 4 would be every half week. And option 5 is that we could actually do it daily. Right? And that's, if we actually change it to like, weekly, half week, daily, this would significantly increase the flexibility we would have with our budgets, because in our current model, someone can just not work for 2 entire weeks. We have no idea if they're going to start working at all for the rest of the month, but we can't hire anybody new because they could come back and still work full time for the next 2 weeks and take up the budget. So the budget is completely used. Even though they didn't work for 2 weeks, we have no idea if they're going to come back. If we change that to, like, for example, a daily model, every single day, if someone doesn't show up for that day, the money is set aside for that particular session. For example, Andromeda Hour 2, this is how much money we have for Andromeda Hour 2. If someone calls out sick, we know exactly how much money we have available for a backup worker or a substitute or hiring someone new, right? There's never a question how much money we have on a day-to-day basis. So if somebody calls out or they're sick or they just say I need to take leave or whatever, we know exactly how much money is available to hire someone in recruitment or whatever we need to do, right? This is also particularly helpful with our substitutes, because with our substitutes, if someone doesn't come to work one day, we don't know if we can get a substitute because they might come to work the next day or a couple other days, right? So a substitute, we might be waiting multiple days, even possibly a half week or even a week or longer to know whether we can call the substitute for them to work. Whereas if we calculate every single day and we know our actual budget on a daily basis, we can literally, someone calls out, they're like, oh, I can't make Andromeda, boom, the substitute we know can immediately jump in for that money because the money is set. And the person who chooses not to work doesn't get the money and they lose out on that money.
For breath, please stop and get ready. Now inhale, 1, 2, 3, exhale, 1, 2, 3, pause. Inhale together, 1, 2, 3, exhale, relax.
And so the money is available to the worker immediately for that individual session. This will also allow us to budget individual global sessions, like specifically planetary sessions and galactic sessions that we can just budget for that individual session. So it just creates this much more flexible budgeting model, but it's worse for the worker, because if you're a full-time worker, it's great for substitutes and it's great for the organization. It's great for, coordinating work hours. But if you're a worker and you want flexibility and you want to do whatever the hell you want, you don't want to show up for work for 2 weeks and then you want to do whatever you want when you come back, it's definitely takes away the power from the worker to do whatever the hell they want. Because in this model, if the worker doesn't show up for work, they lose the money. If they show up for work, they get the money. In the old model, the worker always has the possibility up until the end of the month to make that money back. So they could be like, oh, I don't need to show up today because next week I could just make it up. Right? I'll do more work next week. Right? But in this model, the moment you don't do work, you lose the money and the money can go to someone else. In the current model, there's no requirement for anyone to show up. Right? And then we can't spend that money on anyone else because the person could still potentially come and get that money later. So does everyone understand the difference between the current model and the new models that are being proposed? Right, so these options are just increase the options for if we want to make it more strict on how much you can spend of your allotted value per month. So basically, right now, if you're getting, let's say you have $350 a month for your value, let's say $400. You have $400 a month for your value. If you don't work the first 2 weeks, that $200 is gone. You would never get that $200 back. So you can work as many hours as you want the second 2 weeks, but you can only get $200 because you didn't work the first 2 weeks. Which means if you're not coming to work the first 2 weeks, we can spend that $200 on somebody else working. Right? So that is the question. Those are the options. That's the question. Hopefully it's clear. It's definitely complicated, concerning.
Please
a lot.
Close your eyes.
But,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
but I mean, I'm getting to the point where I feel like the workers have too much power and the organization is getting screwed. Right? The workers can just not show up for work and it doesn't affect them. And everyone wants to get paid. It's like, oh, you don't want to show up for work? You don't get paid. That money is gone. You can't make that money up. You lost it. We're going to hire someone else for that time. But you can still work next week. We don't have to fire you because we have a lot of flexibility where we can hire a substitute for just a few days and then they can come back to work next week or whatever, or even a single session. Because right now, for example, if Alex misses a session, it doesn't really matter because he's only working 10 hours a week. Same with Chinwendu. It's like it's hard to substitute for that, right? Because they could easily work 10 hours the next week. Whereas in this new model, if we do option 5, immediately Alex says, I can't make this session. He's scheduled. Boom, we can bring in the substitute and we can now pay and schedule other people in the budget immediately. And it creates much more flexibility to meet the needs of the organization. If when people don't show up that day, they lose the money, right? So it just makes it much more flexible for the organization. Again, not the best thing for the individual worker, because the worker basically loses out on trying to get that money back. But again, with the substitute model, substitutes are real workers now. So I think with the substitute model, this makes sense because substitutes should be considered equal to all other workers. And if substitutes can't work because a worker calls out sick and they don't want to work, but they might work more next week, but we don't really know, and they're probably not going to, then it kind of screws over the substitute. So I think going towards an option 4 or option 5 model, at least option 3, I think is a good idea. So anyways, questions, concerns, let's go ahead and vote and see what we can do. Are there any questions? Do people understand the differences? Are we like in the dark here?
Let me vote. Okay.
I'm definitely leaning towards option 5. Obviously, we can go back if this policy doesn't work. We don't like it. People are losing money. People get concerned. We can definitely change and go back, because I certainly have thought about this a lot in the past, and I never really felt comfortable taking away the power of a worker to...
Time to stretch. Please stop, stand up, and stretch and move around for 30 seconds.
All right, quick stretch. But yeah, I didn't want to take away the power of a worker to be able to control their ability to make up the time that they missed, right? And that didn't really matter before because we just had normal workers. Now we have substitutes. So with the new substitute model, it makes sense that we would empower substitutes equally to workers, where if you miss that work, we hire and give that work to the substitute and the money's gone. You can't get that money back, right? So that's the general idea here, is that basically with the new substitute model, with budgeting octant by octant, if you don't work during Cobalt, the money's gone. You know, it's like you could have worked during Cobalt, you didn't. The money's now gone. You can't get that money back, right? So this creates just a lot more flexibility with the different models and allows for the organization to work with various situations that otherwise wouldn't be possible. So I don't know if Sandra is going to vote. Sandra said, yes, I voted. Okay. Okay, we are voting again. Also, remember you are text only right now. So
But I just feel like this proposal looks similar like the way we are previously, because we have been given budget, if I could remember well. Every octant they get their own budget, then we budget. Then after the end of the month, we calculate, we know we have this remain as an octant. For like, let's say Eurafrica, they have their own money by then, all one. We know we have this amount remain. Next, if we budget, the members of that, they know our remain amount before this, so we will know the. But I think it's just something similar, but you put it as a bit deeper.
Okay, so I feel like that goes back to the previous proposal where we're talking about all the different octants, and the answer is it's similar, but it's very different. Because the old model, we had 2 separate teams. Each team had their own separate budget, and each team oversaw their own income, right? And it was very
Time to
expensive.
pause. Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
It was very expensive because you basically had to have a minimum old world budget of like $1,000, $2,000. In this new model, it's not really a separate team. There's still only one single new world team, right? Everything's based on new world right now because that's where we need the work happening, right? That's where I am right now. So it's like eventually when we have a bigger budget and we bring in the money, we can have a budget for old world. We can create an old world team. But this is still just a single team. It's new world, but it allows a little tiny bit of flexibility where you can like budget to different octants, but it's more like a budget pool as opposed to a total budget that affects the who's hired and what the rankings are and all that kind of stuff. But we can play around with it and see what we want to do. But the answer is yes, it's similar, but it's different in terms of how it's calculated and how it's overseen. So does that answer your question, kind of?
Yeah. Let's see how it will work.
All right, so it looks like Sandra is not voting, but definitely it looks like option 5 is the winner here. So let's make a proposal, vote on this, and then let's wrap up and check out and be done. So proposal is to change our budget cycle process to process value daily instead of weekly. Oh no, monthly. Per individual octant session, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Details. This model, single spreadsheet payroll. So we will be able to significantly improve our budgeting in relationship to substitutes. It will also make it easier to know how much money we're spending on a day-to-day basis instead of a month-to-month basis. But again, the other detail on the bad side, this is bad for workers who work more one week than another because they would lose out on the ability to make up the difference, but instead that value would go towards substitutes. Cool. All right. Any questions on the proposal?
Time for breath.
Also,
please stop and get ready. Now inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Relax.
So lastly, this also should allow us to run payroll weekly and every 2 weeks easier because we will have cutoffs and no actual figures in more real time, right? So there won't be much of a question about the actual money and value. All right, cool. So this looks good. Questions on the proposal? No questions on this one? So lots of concerns, lots of major concerns. This removes the ability for workers to make up time and value. I think that's the main concern to me. Again, I think it also could complicate payroll calculations for daily, weekly payrolls, but it does make it really easy to like say, okay, this person missed Cobalt, the substitute can be activated based on that value. Cool. All right. So let's go ahead and vote. We'll do this vote and then we are done.
Even I think it's going to be a responsibility that need to be done daily because it's going to be challenging actually.
No, there's no real daily responsibility. The only daily responsibility is value tracking, but we're already tracking our value daily. So the only thing that this is going to change would be that if everyone's scheduling daily, everyone's tracking their value daily. If someone is scheduled for Andromeda, we would know exactly how much money we have available for Andromeda that particular day. And if they don't show up, then we can spend that money on someone else so that we can bring in the substitute. We could hire someone different. We could do whatever we needed to do, or we can not and save that money, right? So whatever we want to do, when someone calls out sick, we can now do that immediately without having to think twice about it, because the money they will not be able to make that money up in the future, because that's the time they're scheduled for. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this does not create any additional daily responsibilities. The responsibilities are the daily responsibilities are scheduling.
Count 1,
And
2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
So the reason why this is possible is because of the automated single spreadsheet model. Because the automated single spreadsheet model will do all the daily calculations automatically already per octant when we add in the new work hours tracking tab details. And I would say, since we should probably do a little bit more on the setup for the payroll, and just go ahead and, if we pass this, we should just implement it immediately, because this would allow us like more flexibility in real time now. And all we need to do is add in the 8 octants. So we just add in the 8 octants, and that's it. And it's good to go.
Okay.
Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and vote. Then let's check, wrap up and check it out. So I'm going to vote a 7. 7.1. Now, so 7.25, because it really does help substitutes.
I voted 7.
Matei's a 7.
Mm-hmm.
Lucy Chinwendu. Are you all gonna vote?
I'm just still figuring out on if I can increase my vote for this, because I was not supporting this option actually.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little different for sure. Let's see which one got second place. So second place is weekly. So if this doesn't pass, we can go to the weekly option. Also, if we don't like this, we can go back to the weekly option. So what's out of the weekly option is that substitutes would be more focused on, like, every week we could bring in a new substitute based on the needs of who's on leave and what's going on. Whereas the daily option really allows us to bring in and call on substitutes, and not on a daily basis. So it really allows a lot more flexibility for substitutes once we get our schedule all worked out. Does that sort of make sense, Lucy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just retain my vote.
Time to take a
Yeah.
break.
So you're voting 6?
Write down
Yes.
whatever you were about to say and take
So
a break
yeah, I mean,
for 6 minutes.
I don't know what's exactly going to happen with this either. It's going to probably take us many months to figure out. Remember, the substitute's brand new. We just created the substitute position or the role, right? It'll take many months to really figure out how it's all going to work. But I do feel like this is a fair change,
Yes, actually.
Also, even if it's not fair to the worker, to the individual worker, it's fair in that we're not getting the work done. So if we were getting all the work done, then sure, let's give everybody extra money and give everybody as much slack as possible. But because the work isn't getting done and we're having so many problems, having a more strict organizational model that prioritizes the organization slightly more than the worker I think is good in this situation to at least try it out. And if it doesn't work, we can change the policy. We should actually create, I think we do have a model, but we should create an overall policies review and evaluation proposal.
Jay,
Like,
I'll need 10 minutes. I don't know if you are done, but I'll need 10 minutes. I need to take
yeah,
a
I think we're done. Just go to wrap up and do your hyper eval, and then we're done. Yeah.
Okay, when I get back.
Yeah. So, Chinwendu, do you want to vote? I think you're the last one.
Yes.
Do you want to vote on line 117?
Said I vote on what?
You're going to vote on line 117. We're voting for the proposal to change our budget cycle process to process value daily instead of monthly per individual day, octant session, etc. So
Yes.
we're voting on this proposal.
Yes. I wanted to comment on it. I think it's better that way. It's better that way. Actually, today companies are actually running on daily per hour and daily pays. So any day you miss, that day is off for you, and it's being calculated at the end of the week or the month or in 2 weeks, and they pay you, but they pay you per day. So I think this is good. It also allows flexibility for those who want to take out time and they don't want to work. Hello?
Yeah, I agree. It definitely is more going in the direction that, the corporate world is going, right? So obviously I'm a big fan of supporting the worker, but this is the direction things are going for sure. But everything's still in the power. The workers still have the power to change anything and to, do whatever they want, because if we're a worker-owned cooperative, we're just saying that the organizational needs outweigh the individual worker needs,
No, it's good for the organization and good for the workers too.
Yeah,
But
I think you're right that it is good for the workers, especially workers who want to get paid more often than monthly, because this will
yes,
allow us to more easily keep our books updated, like you're saying, on a day-to-day basis. It will take a little effort to figure out how to do the weekly payroll, but this will allow that to happen. Yes, for sure.
no, actually, maybe the payment will not be on each day, but per week, per week, per week.
Yeah.
The days are calculated per week, and then it's paid per week or per 2 weeks or per month, but it's calculated by the days.
Yes. Yeah.
No, now that is now. Are we going not to follow the payroll we have set up? We have equity. Are we not going to do that?
Yeah.
Is it
Everything
going to
stays the
cut
same.
off everything?
This is not going to change our payroll as it is now, but what we can do with this new policy is that we could actually calculate, this will all be done automatically, of course, to see the exact point in payroll that we are in on a weekly and daily basis, because like Chinwendu just pointed out, the payroll will be exact on every single day and every single week. Because in the old model, you only had exact payroll at the end of the month, because there could always be changes and differences on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. And it wasn't until the end of the month actually happened. Now there is a much easier possibility to just set it up to do automatic calculations on the week-to-week basis. Okay.
Yes, organizations are going per, just it's like it's called pay as you go, pay as you go, pay as you
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So for us, the biggest problem with that is, of course, the work. Someone has to actually do the work to run the payroll. But we do have a policy in place called individual payroll. If you don't want to do the work of the payroll for the team, you can get paid as an individual by just doing your own individual invoice. And this would allow us to verify that invoice in seconds, right? It'd be way, way easier. So
maybe for the day you have $5 per hour and you work like work like $5 per hour, and you work for 5 hours. For that day is recorded for you $25, and the next day like that is recorded at the end of the month.
Yeah, well, it's
Or
going to be a
the
little bit more specific. So let's say you're paid $400 per month, right? So then you have $100 per week. So then you have a schedule. So your schedule is going to be like, okay, I'm going to work 5 days per week. So I work.
4 o'clock. Time to start. Please get focused on the session.
So I got to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that means for each time that you're like, let's say you work 2 sessions per week, your budget would break down to $10 per session per week, right? And so you would know exactly how much you're getting per session, per week, per time, because it's all broken out by individual octant session, right? If you schedule for a 3rd session, so let's say this is Hydra, and this is Andromeda, and this is Cobalt. If you're scheduled for a 3rd session, maybe you get $0 because you already worked your $20 from Hydra and Andromeda. But with Cobalt having its own budget, let's say Cobalt has a $1,500 separate budget, you could potentially get paid more money for working Cobalt because you could actually increase your budget because Cobalt has more money available, right? So it basically creates a little bit more flexibility depending on what we want to do. But the bottom line is that we can break it down to individual work sessions where you know exactly how much you're getting paid. Whereas before,
Okay.
What about now
work
1.5
session.
hours that we already assigned? Are we still not
yeah,
going to
this is
use
this
that
is
1.5?
1.5 hours for your work, right? 1.5 hours, you're getting $10 for 1.5 hour work priority. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah.
The work session and the per hour, are they the same?
It's the 1.5 hour per responsibility per week is a completely separate policy that I'm fine to go over really quick, but it's different. It doesn't really relate to the budget. It relates to your assignments, right? And your actual work. Like when you're assigned by an organization to do work, you can't go and do work on some random thing that you're not assigned for. You actually have to do the work that you're assigned to do to get paid. Does that make sense? Yeah. So do you want to vote, Chinwendu? It still says you haven't voted.
Yes, I've already voted.
It's not
I've
showing up.
It's
already
not there.
Okay.
Okay, you voted 8. All right, so it passes.
I can
I've
add
already
my vote.
voted.
I can now add my vote. At least it's clear. You know, before it was not that clear.
Are you
I'm back.
changing?
I change my vote because according to the explanation now, at least I get it clear.
Yeah. I mean, this will basically break it down. So like every single session, you know exactly how much money you're getting paid
That
and
is
what
better.
you do to get that money, you know, on a session to day to week basis. So it makes it a little more clear.
Time to pause. Please stop. Close your
But
eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
But anyway, so but again, this doesn't make anything automatic. There's still many other policies this integrates with. This just allows flexibility specifically to bring in new workers who are substitutes if you call out sick or whatever for that particular day. So one of the things that we want to cover briefly here is the idea of this policy that we have, which is 1.5 hours per week per work assignment. Okay, so I'm just going to cover this and do the last thing, and then I got to go. The current policy is that you get 1.5 hours per week per assigned work priority. So if you're working 10 hours per week, you basically are going to get what? 5 work assignments? Not right. 1.5 hours per week per work assignment, right? So that's 5. So that's you have to do 5. No, not 5. It'll be 9, right? So you're doing 9 hours. 9 hours would be 9 divided by 1.5 is 6. You're getting 6 work assignments, right? So as like if you're working 10 hours a week, your assignments would be like main session, general work priorities. I mean, you can look at them in the they're all right here already, right? You can see all of your work priorities. The 173. Here it is. So if you go to here, let's see if I can find it. Chinwendu. So we have Chinwendu calculations template. We would duplicate this. This would be your Chinwendu calcs. And you can see under your Chinwendu calcs, these are your initial minimum basic assignments. So I'll just copy and paste these right here. So you have your general basic responsibilities, your training, onboarding. So you do 1.5 hours per week on training. You're going to do your main session. Then you work on your value, monthly budget, and payroll. What's your position, Chinwendu?
You kept me on substitute, but was supposed
you're
to.
a substitute. Okay, so we're going to be adding storytelling, which is exciting right now. Showcase is basically storytelling. So general onset and storytelling.
1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Relax.
But you need to know who you're substituting for so we can add more value, more time for your new substitute position. So recruitment, you'll be working an hour and a half on recruitment, then you have taxes and your executive assignments, right? So this is your goal, is to do 1.5 hours per week on all of your work assignments to move all the work forward every single week. That is the goal always. Okay.
Where is the work assignment? I can't find. Is it where? How can I find
I put it in line 151 to 158. But I can put it down here lower too. I can put it down here like that, 162. But these are what are called work priorities, right? These are the work priorities. So within, for example, value, you're going to be assigned to either work on a specific payroll responsibility or a specific monthly budget responsibility. And the same is true with recruitment and your storytelling. So you're going to get specific responsibilities, and that's where the training comes in. These are just what we call the priorities, okay?
Trying to get it well. Communication is
169.
162. I think I got. I'm on 162, line 162. Communication, Discord, personal value tracking, POP. Is that?
Yeah, right here.
So there are the files I can be working with. The documents, I mean.
You have to tell me what it is that you want to prioritize and work on, then I will train you. I never train anybody who hasn't asked for the training. Does that make sense? So it's up to you to make a priority and to tell me what your priority is, and then I will make sure you get trained. Right now, you're assigned to make sure you schedule your orientation, right? And then you just need to, we want to, I would love to do training on the storytelling. All the substitutes are going to be your primary position as a substitute is storytelling. This is our new storytelling position, which is really cool.
Do you mean storytelling on Discord?
No, we are changing the storytelling. I guess technically we should vote on that proposal. We did vote on it and put it in the proposals thing, but I don't know if it actually came to main session yet. But the bottom line is that the direction we're going with storytelling is that everything, I think we did vote on this, that Discord no longer is going to be our primary public forum, and that we are changing our policies.
Time to pause. Please stop.
Yeah, we vote on that.
We did vote on it, yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
So Discord is public, but it is not publicly searchable. If you go to a Discord link and you're not logged into Discord, you won't even be able to see it. So we are now requiring all information and communications in the organization to be publicly searchable and with a link have direct access to the information, that you do not need to log in. No barrier to log in, no anything. So Discord is no longer going to meet our criteria for public accountability, because you have to log into it and you have to click on a link to get the information. You can't actually search the information online. So in our new model, all of the storytelling is going to be directly to our websites, and it's going to automatically push to social media. Okay. So storytelling now is no longer about whether it's public or not. It's all about the distance the story goes. So there's close storytelling, which is kind of like internal storytelling. Then we have what we call like, medium or like local storytelling. And then you have far storytelling, which means that we put it on as many social media channels and as many different locations across the world as we can. That would be far storytelling. Okay, so storytelling is now all about social media, publishing online on our website, and getting out information to the public. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So all of these substitutes, when you're just doing your week-to-week thing, you basically will take on the storytelling of the organization for the week that you are guaranteed your work.
And for me to be able to publish it on the website, it means I'll have access to the website.
Absolutely. Well, there's many different websites that you're going to have access to, and that's what you need to prioritize. You need to prioritize us getting focused and working on the websites, on the social media, and learning and understanding how to do the storytelling. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the storytelling position is brand new, so it's going to take a couple weeks to get it functional, active, get the responsibilities and training organized and set up properly. Okay. But anyway,
so
the point that I'm trying to make here is that the current policy is that you get 1.5 hours per week per assigned priority, which means that if you want to sit in a main session for 10 hours, main session Wednesday, main session Thursday, double team on Friday, like we can sit here all week in a main session, but if we don't stop talking and get to work.
Time to stretch. Please stop, stand up, and stretch and move around for 30 seconds.
All right, let's stretch. So as I was saying, if we don't stop and get focused on the work, we are losing value as an organization. So it's up to the workers, all of us, to prioritize main session and double teams. But at some point we have to say, no, we need to stop doing this. And it's everybody's responsibility collectively to get the work done. We can't just sit here in main sessions doing no work forever and expect to get paid. The maximum amount of time for main sessions per week is an hour and a half. That's it. So every single minute that we spend time in a main session beyond an hour and a half, it needs to be really important, because we're losing value on that. You understand?
Yes, we have stayed more than an hour and a half for today.
Well,
We are like 4 hours. 5.
Yeah, we're main sessions like all week. Well, we only started the double team today much later, right? We've only been a double team for like, what, an hour and a half? Maybe 2 hours? I don't know. Anyways, the time gets away from you. Anyways, I think we're ready to wrap up. Are we ready to wrap up?
Yes.
Okay, cool. But I think these are really important proposals. I think this is going to help us and get us organized for the rest of the month, because we are bleeding as an organization. And if the 5 of us stay focused and get focused on the work, like, does anyone want to work for Cobalt later? Or that would be like the next step would be like for Cobalt and or Sonic. I think it's possible that Mamoon may have scheduled Sonic. I don't really know. Doesn't really check in. Currently, there's nothing scheduled for Cobalt that I know of. We could check our team schedule though.
So when will you be available for Cobalt? Because I want to.
Cobalt is scheduled. I would need like a 45-minute break.
Okay, I can check. I want you to review on Payroll.
Yes.
I'll make it.
Okay, so I'll put J, Lucy, Ate. And let's try to do 45 minutes from now. So next steps
Mhm.
are going to be payroll. We want to do policies. We want to do budget, and we want to do client work, and just like we also want to do the work hours tracking
Time
tab
to pause.
updates.
Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
All right, so let's start. Let's do our hyper evals. I thought the session went pretty good. It was a little slow. We missed some breaks. Missed breaks. Slow at first, ended well. Very excited about the new policies. Hopefully they work. So our income value, we had a lot going on for today. We had some goals, which is line 17 currently. We had...
Okay, sir. You asked me a question and I have not answered you.
Okay.
I would like to be trained on the monthly budget and payroll work.
Ooh, monthly, but okay, they're separate. So that you gotta do one thing at a time. So you have to either choose budget or payroll.
Hello?
You have to start with one. So you either have to start with budget or you have to start with payroll.
Okay. Payroll.
Did you say payroll?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna be probably working on payroll some in the next session. Basically, what you want to get is you want the responsibility training link for what we call the base equity payroll, is the current payroll process that we're on right now. So Lucy, could you send Chinwendu the link to the base equity payroll process training spreadsheet?
Okay.
Great. So then you'll get that spreadsheet. You'll be able to review it. You can see the entire process. Each responsibility is broken down to every single step. And you have the overall process. I believe there's even some training videos in there that you could consider watching. But overall, the best thing to do is just to schedule. We're going to be working on payroll, specifically base equity payroll process today and tomorrow if we don't finish it. Because we do have a deadline and we're going to be on 60% pay stop. I believe that's today. At the end of today is going to be the 60% pay stop, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So that is, so yeah, let's do as best as we can. So yeah, base equity payrolls are due today or 61% pay stop. But that only increases our pay stop by 11%. So it's not like a massive pay stop or anything. I'm not too worried about it. Anyways, let's get all of the rest of our value for today.
Yeah, I'll put the names there so that.
So Tay did goals, right? And Chinwendu did goals, right? So these need to
Time
be...
for breath. Please
And
stop.
Sandra.
Now inhale. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. 1, 2, 3. Pause. Inhale together. 1, 2, 3. Exhale. Relax.
All right, so we worked on policies and double team. No, we worked on policies, coordination. This is coordination. We worked on the double team voting. We worked on goals, policies, and that's it. I think that's all we did. So double team voting is line 38.
Can we put the how line? Okay.
So we all did this together except Sandra. I don't know if Sandra was here, but Sandra was kind of like, 0.075, 0.75x for like 15 minutes. But then she might have been 0.25x for like 1 hour plus for the double team. So if she does this time, it would be like 1 hour with 0.25x, because she was text only. For Ate, we did, I don't know, 2 hours this, 1 hour for goals, 0. I mean, yeah, 1 hour for goals, 0 for that. Maybe longer. Chinwendu, you did your goals, and then you did this too. So it's kind of like that. I did not do goals. I did 0 goals, 1 hour, 2 hours. UC, same. 0, 1, 2. So can someone check the time? So if we did 4,
So Jay, what about the time I spent with Chinwendu?
that would be goals. Line 17.
Yeah, so when you put one eye small for mine and Chinwendu. Because I think
I
I
think
started
we
I
spent
started
4 hours,
walking.
Jay.
I started
Yeah,
walking
I'm
around
asking we did
8
4
minutes
hours too.
past 8 minutes past height.
4 hours, 25 minutes.
I can't see where you're working.
It's on wrap
Wait.
up. Wrap up. Go on the tab called wrap up.
And I can also share my screen. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure. So policies coordination would basically be like executive work, 105, line 105. Which is fine. I can't really think of what else. I think Sandra did 3 hours, pretty sure. Well, because this is says 1 hour, but she did the 0.25 value for the second one.
Time to pause. Please stop. Close your eyes. Count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Open your eyes.
Cool. That looks good to me. And today is day 4. So we are on day 4 of the new moon week. So whenever you're tracking your time, you would always track your overtime. So double overtime is line 6. Single overtime night is line 7. And we also went over 4 hours. So even for me, because we went over 4 hours, wait, no, we did exactly 4 hours. No, we did 4.5 hours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We did
Yeah.
4.5 hours. So I did 2.5 hours double team. I don't know what happened, but let's say 2.5 hours double team because
Yeah, because we spend much time together on double team.
Yes, and for Chinwendu, you were at 0.75x. Well, no, I don't think it was too bad at the beginning. Oh, there was a little bit at the beginning where your sound was a little off. Maybe like 0.25 hours. I don't know. It wasn't much. But either way, the key thing here is that I have some overtime hours for the day going over 4 hours. So anytime you work more than 4 hours, that's line 8. So we went
So overtime, how are you putting overtime? The whole hours or the hours that are above 4?
That would only be a time above 4 hours. So we worked at 4.5 hours, so half an hour of overtime.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but you would do. When did you start Andromeda? Was it 1.5x for you?
No, I start 2x.
2x. Yeah. So your entire time would be 2x.
Okay.
Right. So you would put 4.5 hours under 2x and a half hour for 4 hours. So you would have multiple overtime simultaneously.
Okay.
And that also can be true for someone if they have double overtime and 4.5 hours, plus they might be under time for bad audio or inability for 0.25. So you can have multiple different overtime and undertime as needed. Okay.
Okay.
And also in terms of one thing we're adding here is the national holidays overtime. If you're working on a national holiday, you would put in extra overtime for that.
Time to take a break. Please stop. Write down whatever you were about to say and take a break for 6 minutes.
And if you want paid sick time, you would put that under line 10. And so paid sick time would be extra time, and that's basically even if you don't work, you put your hours there. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So
Jane, wait, talk of National Day. Is it National Day in our country or how?
yes, any national holiday in your country, you get overtime value.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Oh, National Day was the 12th. Mine last
When you
week.
talk of,
This 12th.
okay,
Well, that would be last month. So last month we were just starting this new for this time. Like we didn't really vote on this, but it's the law.
Okay, we have to vote it. Thank you. Okay, no problem.
On the law, you know, we never had a way to track this, and now we can track it. So I just added it in, even though we haven't really voted on it, because it's the law. In the United States and lots of countries, if somebody works on a national holiday, you have to pay them overtime. Okay. So I
Yeah.
just added it in. It's not really a policy. It's like this is the law. We have to do it. Okay. So but before we weren't even capable of doing it until we have a new automated spreadsheet, because now we can actually track people's daily national holidays. It's going to be different for every person based on your national holiday. Also, some countries have way more national holidays than other countries. So it just really just depends on where you live. Yeah. And obviously, if you have a holiday and you don't want to work, you can get paid for not working on national holidays. Sometimes, you know, so it could be you could just put extra time, sick leave, like for a national holiday instead of the national holiday overtime. But if you're working on a national holiday, for the time that you are working, you need to get overtime extra pay. So if it's a national holiday, you can either do paid time off and say, okay, I'm taking the day off because it's a holiday, and then you get extra sick pay time, or you would, if you are working, you would mark that you get overtime for the time that you're working. That make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
But there should be a platform, or there should be a platform where the countries we are all living here
I
should be
think
displayed. The
I
platform should
think
be
my
displayed.
hours are not numbering is not right, G.
Okay, I'll take a look. Overall, it'd be great to get this into a platform, but right now we just have to do it all manually. So
Because 105 is
set,
everything is 105.
everything is what?
105. All my numbers starting from number 105, it's up to down all 105.
Oh, that's because you just didn't pull it properly. So maybe Sandra was doing this. I don't remember who did it. Anyways.